When I was growing up, one of my favorite video game franchises of all time was The Sims. What can I say? I've always been a hardcore gamer. What I loved and still love the most about playing The Sims is decorating homes. Sometimes I spend more time decorating a place for my sim to live in than actually playing said sim. I actually really appreciate it anytime any game has a housing adjacent system in it. It's nice to have some place to return to and play inventory management simulator in after a series of perilous adventures, or a cozy little abode that you can improve over time as you gradually unlock more building and decorative pieces, or just some place to sink all your hard-earned cash into by way of purchasing upgrades and furnishings. In-game earnable cash, not IRL cash, of course. I'm an English lit major. You think I have a fucking disposable income? Don't make me laugh. These days, and well, for the past 7 years now, one of the games that I find myself playing the most is The Elder Scrolls Online.
I already know.
Jesus Christ.
And this MMO has a pretty fantastic housing system. A lot of neat furnishings can be unlocked upon first attaining their respective achievements, but a vast majority of furnishings can also just be crafted or purchased from other players who have crafted them, thus rewarding players who've sank a respectable amount of hours into the game's crafting system. Personally, I've always found player housing to be a pretty effective means to feel rewarded for progressing through a game, and ESO's housing thing that they've got going on is no exception. And the creations that the ESO community has come up with using all the tools at their disposal are pretty mind-blowing. I thought it'd be nice to take a break from getting one-tapped in Cyrodiil PvP by wholesome Chungus double bow proc into shocks with corrosive armor up builds to enjoy the finer things that ESO has to offer, by way of going on a little housing tour and taking you all with me. The ESO content creator Futerko invited me to be a judge for the Aetherius Art Guild's 8th anniversary housing contest, where the theme was Medieval Ages Fantasy. Big fan of that kind of aesthetic, so I was eager to take a look at what these housing enjoyers had cooked up for this contest. Now, normally in my housing contest videos, I yap a bit in the beginning and then shut the fuck up to show off a little housing montage of my favorite homes for the rest of the video. But this time we're gonna do things a little differently. This time I'm gonna be yapping the entire time. If you don't like that, too bad. So without further ado, let's check out some swanky medieval fantasy creations in ESO, shall we? So I've been asked to be a judge for a handful of ESO housing competitions now, and typically for these things the judges are asked to give homes a rating from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 for a handful of different categories, such as how accurately the entry adhered to the theme of the contest, or how complex of a build it was, or how immersive the entry was, etc, etc. Now of course these are all subjective notions, so each judge is going to have their own biases and interests that influence the way that they justify their scores, and I thought I'd mention some of the things that I really admire and love to see whenever I'm touring homes in ESO. So basically, if you're looking to farm 10 out of 10s from me, these are the types of things to be mindful of. I absolutely love seeing creations that resemble art, whether by way of gorgeous, idyllic views that look like they belong on a canvas or in a portrait, instead of in this cringe-ass game for nerds, or by way of these extremely creative conglomerations of furnishings that are molded together to create something entirely new. I mean, just look at this shit. Absolute cinema. This Grand Library home is one of my favorite ESO homes that I've ever toured to date. I actually ended up giving it a perfect score across the board for this recent contest. In real life, my primary residence, if you will, looks like a guys really do be living like this meme, or perhaps even the damn bitch you really live like this meme, partially because I own exactly 2.5 pieces of furniture and partially because the place is really fucking cluttered. Ironically enough, I find that whenever I'm decorating homes in ESO, or any game for that matter, I also add a lot of clutter around the place to make it feel lived in. Except the deliberate clutter in my video game homes looks cute and aesthetic instead of slobbish and indicative of a mental health disorder. So it goes without saying that I am partial towards housing builds that artfully assemble a variety of smaller furnishing items throughout the residence in a way that really adds character to the place. Every once in a while, I'll load into a place that feels less like a player home and more like an actual part of the map in the game, and I love that. The layout of these places can feel reminiscent of an actual town that could exist in the game with NPCs and quest givers to talk to, or like a closed questing instance or a PvP map. I find that this is usually accomplished by incorporating a lot of thematically similar structural furnishing pieces, the plans of which you can mostly obtain from their corresponding zone dailies. So for example, you can obtain a bunch of Western Skyrim structural furnishing plans from completing the daily quests in the Western Skyrim zone. Or you can just do what I do 95% of the time I want anything in this game and just buy whatever you're looking for from the guild traders for gold. When I first started playing this game, structural furnishing plans like walls and roofs and platforms were not very prevalent. But over the years, as ESO has been spamming new DLC zones, so too have they spammed zone-related structural furnishings and their respective plans. I find that this has really opened the floodgates of creativity for the housing community, as they use these kinds of furnishings to create their own houses and castles and the like to furnish, as opposed to furnishing the pre-made player housing structures that come with a player home when you buy it. I've never been particularly good at this part of the ESO housing game, so I've always really admired players who are. I tip my fedora to thee. Show, don't tell is a technique that is used when creating effective exposition. One means to show readers, viewers, or players what is happening or what has happened in a scene instead of outright telling them is through the use of environmental storytelling. In the case of video games, we, the players, can be left to fill in the blanks in the narrative ourselves, given what clues we can gather from observing the environment around the character that we're playing. I absolutely love it whenever players imbue an untold story into their housing creations by being very deliberate with the addition and placement of their furnishings. It's always really fun to load into a player home and go, oh shit, something happened here, and then try to come to your own conclusion about what that may have been. If you've watched my content for a while now, then you probably know I'm a certified elf lover. I play elven characters in any game where it's an option to do so, and part of the reason why is because I love how their bond with nature inspires their architecture and their combat styles and even their drip. That, and I mean, who could resist the fucking pointy ears, dude? So, naturally, pun not intended, I love seeing builds that use a lot of natural furnishing items like trees, shrubs, flowers, vines, torchbug gatherings, and the like, to give off really whimsical vibes. And I'm not just talking about placing these furnishing items in places where they might normally be found, like a garden or what have you. I also love it when players find ways to incorporate natural furnishing items in the interiors of their creations. If your home looks like an elf lives there, yeah, that's an easy 10 out of 10 from me. Sometimes you'll be wandering around a player home and then suddenly get one-shotted by environmental damage because the homeowner prefers to partake in a remarkable quantity of mischievous internet mental trickery. But sometimes you'll run into pretty neat little surprises or secrets that the homeowner has hidden or created in their house, and I always love when that's the case. My favorite instance of this in this most recent housing contest was this painting that beckoned my character to walk through it. Upon doing so, I was transported from the museum that housed the painting into an alternate fantastical world. This was another one of my absolute favorite entries from this most recent housing competition. Those are some of the things that I personally really appreciate when touring homes in ESO. I toured these homes because of my role as a judge in a guild-specific housing contest, but the reality is that anyone can tour people's homes using the Home Tours feature in the Group and Activity Finder menu. I've been keen to do more housing-related content by making use of this feature, so if that sounds like something you'd be keen to watch, let me know by smashing the like button with your left butt cheek. Alright gang, thanks for watching. It's been a minute since I've last uploaded because I was busy wrapping up my degree, doing some traveling, and editing for other clients. Speaking of, I've got myself a new client who some of you ESO Andies may know from the absolute bangers that they've made about ESO and other Bethesda games. So uploads from me on my channel will still be a bit on the slower side as I work with other creators to help them make their content and help myself pay the bills. But if you're keen to still check out work I've edited, be sure to join my Discord server to get notified anytime videos that I've worked on go live. Alright, that's it for now. Thank you YouTube members for the additional support as always, and I'll see ya in the next video. Cheers.